All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen the other videos, we just started a machine shop, and behind me we got our first job. I've started working on it up here in northern Arizona so that I can get out of the heat of the valley. But I do have some work to get done in the valley, and that's what this video is about. So let's get to it. All right, so here I am back in the shop. This job is mostly a woodworking job. It is basically making a wood shed that is for remote locations. It has aluminum siding though, and we did 0.035, 35 thousandths of an inch thickness aluminum for the siding, which is a nice little thick piece of siding. And we're gonna be bending the Z-bar on the brake press. But this is our aluminum angle that we are going to be using for the sides, and it's pretty much what they wanted. We're going to drill holes through the side to make installation a little bit easier and seeing how that goes. So we have our setup here, and it'll make it really easy to drill holes however often. All right, using this setup, it's pretty simple, but this will let me put a hole every so often. I just have this set at 10 inches so you can see. It'll be roughly, and this isn't exact, but you basically line up the far right at the 10-inch line and the drill at 0. So basically every time you drill a hole, you shift it, so move the hole down to this mark, and now you can drill another hole, be right at 10 inches apart. Line this up at the end. Then move that hole down to the 10-inch mark. Hold it down. There we go. Move it down to the 10-inch mark. All right, and boom, just like that, we're done. Drilled about 4,000 holes. I think it took 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours, something like that. I didn't really time it. There was no tolerances on it, so that's why this method worked. The first hole is gonna be accurate after that because I'm just using my line of sight on the edge. It's gonna have a compounding error as you go down the length. But for 4,000 holes that fast and this cheap for something we already had, it worked out pretty well. The next thing is setting up the brake press. So I have this metal here. This is just the drops from our other project. Put it in here so that I can have a nice little offset and use it for the Z flashing on the side. So basically, if this is the side of my structure, it's going to offset so I can have it overhang on the previous one, and I'm going to have that overhang by about 2 inches so that rain and water isn't allowed to get in. Before I do this, I have the dies already in the machine, which is the first set. You get to choose your dies. The second step is, for me, setting up the back gauge. This is a manual press, so it needs a little bit more love than say if you had a CNC hydraulic. But I'll show you how I do this. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I kind of zero out the back gauge. I take this whole back platform, and this machine's off right now, but I take this whole back gauge and loosely attach these little fingers here. I don't know what you call these things, but I basically put them against the back side of the die, and I can have now a frame of reference from the bend that I want to make and the surface of that die. So when I have that zeroed out, this dial down here, all right, but that 0 is now in line with there, so I can rotate this and have a decent measurement. All right, so now the back gauge is at the right height, and this is zeroed out. I tighten those nuts up. I can just rotate this dial here. I don't know if I can get both in at the same time. I'm gonna rotate this dial, and you can see this back gauge go back. It's about 3/4 of an inch from the bend frame of reference that I'm using. So I want 2 inches of overhang from this offset bend. So I'm measuring it from this bend point here. From there to the tip of there is about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just gonna move that back 1.25 inches. So for each rotation of the dial on this machine is 250 thousandths of an inch, or 1/4 of an inch. So that is 1/2 inch. There's 3/4 of an inch. There's 1 inch. And I'm gonna do 1.25 inches to bring me right to that 2 inches of overhang. All right, so now with that back gauge set, I can put this up there, and it's gonna get pushed right against the back, and it'll be at that same point every single bend. All right, so let's turn this guy on. Let's give it a shot. That's a significantly bigger offset than I wanted, so up. That's looking better. So you can see this offset I'm doing. It has to be at least 2 thicknesses more. So that's all that I'm going for. So it has a nice clean look, and it works out, looks like it's coming out pretty well. All right, and with the metal drilled and with the metal bent, it's good to have this brake press behind me up and running. We got the bearings changed. It just works flawlessly. You can check out the video if you haven't seen us replacing the bearings. This is a new startup, so it's going to be exciting to see where everything takes off and where we go, what we do next. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And well, if you didn't enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. But yeah, we'll see you next time.